What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Paper Room Podcast, hosted by our BT Young Adults team. This is a podcast to encourage young adults in their young adult journey to follow Jesus and live faithfully in this culture. Our hope is to share some wisdom as you're navigating major decisions in this life. We love you guys. Hope you enjoy this episode.
What's up, Paper Room Podcast? I'm Megan with Isha, Pastor Danny.
What's up?
And it's our 50th episode.
50.
Pretty crazy.
5-0.
I'm really excited to be joining you for the 50th episode. I kind of feel honored.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
you are
true.
honored. You
I
should
know.
feel special.
Guys.
We're happy you're here.
Before we continue on, be in prayer for Pastor Nick.
Yes.
At the time of this episode recording, he is in Africa on a mission trip with a
Serving.
couple of people from BT Church. And so, crazy times. Hopefully on the next episode, we can hear some really cool stories.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah,
Yes.
heck yeah. But we're here, episode 50.
We are.
Let's
And very
run
exciting. Before we get to it, Isha has a game for us.
I do. So this is a new game that we haven't played yet on the Paper Room. But I am thinking of a movie.
What movie?
I can't tell you.
Just kidding.
And I'm also thinking of a keyword. So when I say the keyword, the first person to guess what movie I'm thinking of wins.
I'm trying to read your mind right now.
Oh, wow. Try.
So we could just shout it out, right? Like, it's not like
Yeah.
her first and me.
No,
Like,
just blurt it out at the same time.
I bet.
Ready?
Yeah.
3,
Oh my God.
2,
Gosh.
1, 0. Just kidding.
Oh.
Balloon.
Up?
Yeah, you got it.
That's so
Okay,
easy!
okay, Isha.
I'll
Wait, I have a movie. I really do.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
That was way too easy.
I'm not going to count down. I'm just going to go.
Okay.
Magazine.
Magazine.
Mm.
Magazine. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yes.
Oh my
That's
God.
crazy.
That's insane.
Okay, I'm 2 for 2.
That's only because you know Megan so well, and she
Not
likes
really.
rom-coms.
That's actually a really good movie.
It is a really good
That's
movie.
true. I forgot.
I feel like I should go because that was way too fast.
Okay.
I know that was.
Okay.
I literally was ready for a second. I was going to say plant.
All right, let me try.
That's crazy.
Let's go with Orphan.
Oh, Annie.
No.
Oh.
August Rush.
No.
I don't even know what that movie that is.
though.
Oh, you can't guess again.
No, you can't guess no more.
again.
Oh.
Now I have to give another keyword. All right?
Oh, okay,
We haven't
okay,
got
okay.
this far in the
Okay,
game.
Sorry.
Let's go with oh man, there's so many keywords that I just don't want to give it away yet. Let's go with Rich.
So this is a different movie?
No, this is the same movie. I'm
Oh.
giving you a
So
second keyword.
Orphan and Rich.
Yes, correct.
I'm going to let you guess first this time. Strategic.
I don't know.
You have to guess something.
No, you don't have to. We can move on to the third keyword. The goal is to also get it in as little keywords as possible. So the longer it takes you guys, the more that you're failing.
Batman.
Batman.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
good job.
Thank you.
I
I've
was
never
gonna say
seen Batman.
gadgets. What?
Yeah.
It's like one of the greatest
that-
movies of
Yeah.
all time. That's
It's
insane.
not my fave, but I've seen it.
The Dark Knight is. I'm a Marvel guy, but Dark Knight is one of the most incredible movies of all time. All right.
Is
Good
it
times.
ick that I don't know what Batman movie it is?
Yeah,
Wow.
Low-key ick, right?
it would be for
I
me.
know.
For me, yeah, at least.
So today we're talking about icks. Ooh. This is a very cultural
Icky.
topic that has taken Gen Z by the storm.
Wow.
And especially in dating.
I've actually never heard this term until you told me about
That's
it.
actually kind of crazy.
2 days ago.
Really?
It's very popular.
I'm not really in the dating world.
Oh my gosh.
Been married 11 years,
Yeah.
almost.
I just see stuff like on videos and like on Instagram, social media.
Yeah. Well, so
What is it?
exactly. We have to know what ick is in order to talk about it.
Right.
Mhm.
At least I do, because
Yeah.
I don't have a great understanding of it.
And icks for me, from what I have known from social media and all of that, described as something that sets you off in disgust from someone you're trying to be in a romantic partnership with.
Mm-hmm.
Disgust is such a strong word. So, like, when you say disgust, I'm like, okay, like, I would, like,
I would
not be in that
describe it
relationship.
like it throws you off in a negative way.
Yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
better. Like it kind of, everything was going so well and this kind of made you pause.
okay.
Like maybe
Yes.
pause before thinking, I'm going to date this
And
person.
these are always discovered in the dating investigative area, either before you start dating or like at the very beginning of a
yes, like give it to the
relationship.
talking phase.
So there's no icks in marriage.
There shouldn't be. I mean, well,
well,
Yeah, you're still learning.
no,
each other.
yes,
guess.
because
Yeah.
like an ick is not something, which I mean, we're going to get more into this, but an ick in reality is not necessarily something that should set you off from pursuing your relationship with this person.
yeah.
It's something that in you personally, like, it's a little strange, but
Can you use it?
But
in
I
a
can get through
sentence?
this.
like in a sentence.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like talking to your friend about a guy, like use it in a sentence.
For sure.
Can you use it in a specific example of a past relationship? Just joking. Use it in
I
a
was
sentence.
gonna do that actually.
There was this one time.
It kind of gave me the ick that he couldn't drive.
Oh.
Ooh, okay.
My ex couldn't drive, so there you go.
What was the
Okay.
reason? Like, didn't have a license, or straight
Didn't
up
have a
did not know
license.
how?
Did not have a license.
How old was he? That's important to know.
She's like 12. It was in 7th grade.
I had my license at the time. I just couldn't have a car. He was 17, so kind of no excuse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like that's
Megan,
that was kind
I
of,
couldn't drive at 17. I didn't get my license until
okay.
20.
No, I know. I'm not saying this is
would've
a valid reason.
Wow.
I'm just saying, looking back, like I remember, like both of our
It gave
parents
you the
dropped
ick.
us off,
Gotcha.
and I remember my friends were like, "That's kind of weird. Like he doesn't drive."
Gotcha.
Like my friends had the ick for me before ick was a thing, and now looking back, I'm like, yeah, like I guess that kind of like I never really thought about it.
I mean, I think historically in dating, icks have always been a thing.
yes,
We're
just how
just
we have a term to
using
it.
a terminology that Gen Z says now is
For sure.
No, how do you spell it? I'm just kidding.
It's crazy.
ICK. Just in case it comes off as like, I don't know. Because we say it because we know it. We know
Yeah.
the word, but in case anybody's like lost.
So then I think another question to kind of go into this is like, are icks and red flags the same thing?
I don't think so in my understanding of what an ick is. I feel like a red flag is like, you should completely stop this relationship. Like,
Mhm.
don't pursue it. Don't keep going.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very major red flag to continue on. I feel like an ick is more like of a preferential thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really prefer this. I can work with this. One thing I've talked about in dating before is like, one of the rules that Pastor Nick would always say is use your eyes, right? So you have your eyes, you have preferences. One thing I would say to kind of take that to the next level is some people have like a straight checklist of what they want in another person.
Yes.
But I just say like, hold that checklist with the open hand, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess I would almost describe ick as things that are not quite on your checklist, or something that's on your checklist that it's like, and they're doing the opposite of that or something like that.
That's good.
So it's not like quite like a deal breaker, but it's like you said, it's causing me to pause and think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
I
no.
do think that people do make it into a bigger deal than it needs to be
For
for
sure.
sure.
That's
And
good.
they paint it to be a red flag. And honestly, sometimes just like hearing it in conversation around like our generation, I think that sometimes it's even used as an excuse to get out of whatever you're in.
That's
like
good.
instead of owning up to, you know what, like this isn't working out, like I'm, having the conversation.
Yes.
I just kind of feel like it's a very easy, like, well, this was the one reason that I'm gonna use to not continue or pursue.
Can you, like in your social media exploration, describe some of the icks you're hearing, like on TikTok, on Reels, whatever? Like, what are people saying? Like this thing is.
Didn't you hear something earlier?
Yeah, I did. Like I was so weird. Like in 2024, but I listened to this on the radio. And I
Radio?
What
What station?
honestly, I don't even remember. But a girl was calling in and she was like asking for advice. And she said how the fact that her boyfriend, or I don't know if he was a boyfriend yet, the person that she was having a romantic interest in did not have a suit.
A
And
suit.
a suit. And that kind of gave her the ick. And she went therefore even further to say, I think this could almost be a red flag. And that was like, in my head, I was like, to me, it's furthering into our society of pushing back the idea of marriage. Of like, we've come so far, like the dating range of getting married has gone up so high.
Yeah, at this point, it's 28 for girls and 30 for guys.
Exactly. And I think icks are almost used as an excuse, like you said, to get out of something, but I think also an excuse of lack of commitment. Of like, I'm not ready for this, but I don't really want to say I'm not ready, or I don't really want to, I want marriage, but maybe I'm not ready, but I don't want to admit that. So I'm just going to use a cop out to get out of this. And that becomes an ick.
So icks are very personal, right?
Very personal.
So it's
Very
like something that
opinion-based.
you feel about somebody else. So like in this scenario that you just gave, would you all find as girls a guy not having a suit and ick?
No. That's also
No?
not a valid reason whatsoever not to date someone.
And it's weird because we all have our different opinion.
Right.
So like that person, that girl, whatever, like she may feel like that is an ick for me because in my realm of my social life, I'm surrounded by a lot of business people, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I feel that they should be dressing nice, whatever the case may be, right? So then for her, that's an ick. but it's not a red flag
Right.
at all, because I just think it speaks to like,
Because some people tie
materialism.
wearing or having a suit towards success. Like I don't know her
Yeah,
world,
Very
right?
true.
If she is in a world
so
full of
again,
finance
it's
people,
preferences, but
then in her mind she's like, wait, he doesn't have a suit. Like, is he not successful? You know how y'all girls go, like y'all like one thought, you just like now down the road like all
Very
crazy.
accurate.
yeah,
So yeah.
for sure.
So then, do y'all think that the ick of not having a suit should prevent her from not dating someone?
Oh no, not at all.
no,
Yeah.
but see, and then
But
this
I
goes
get
back
why
to,
she had that ick, I guess maybe.
yeah, but it goes back to like kind of what you're saying, like the world will view priorities and important things way differently. The world will value different things than we as Christians will. So if we don't value materialistic things, like how they dress even, or the things that they own, the things that they have, like if they don't have this, if they don't have that, then those things aren't going to be a problem. Those things aren't going to be seen as like, ooh, like that throws me off.
Yeah.
Because our eyes are going to already be set on other way more important things, like the spirit, the character. Now, people do find icks with character traits and habits for sure.
Yeah.
Like I would say if somebody's
Biting
like
your
biting
nails.
their nails, I was gonna say that. Or like
People have said before, like the
chewing
way
with
they
their
laugh
mouth open,
or
like,
laughing, like the way they laugh, like that. He gave me the
Yeah.
ick
Bro.
because of how he laughed.
Yeah, eating with your mouth open is like I guess an ick, but it could be girls, guys, it doesn't matter. It just
Exactly. So yeah.
So then a follow-up question, do you think as Christians in dating, should we let cultural norms infiltrate how we date? Or infiltrate our dating process?
yeah. I mean, I guess no, right? But also like we learn from culture, but doesn't mean we have to live like it, right?
For
And
sure.
so there's going to be cultural things that will kind of influence our thought process, right? I mean, even like it's crazy how much you're formed by something. Like some people who, they grew up watching certain movies and certain shows. And now, like you find yourself attractive to like a certain type of person, and that's the person you want to go after and date.
Mhm.
Like you are
Yeah.
allowing the culture to then frame your thought of what a person that you want to end up with ought to look like, right? Because of that. And that's a really real reality. And so should you allow that to shape who God is going to put in front of you? I mean, obviously no, but what it does is it causes your eyes to look at a certain way, I guess is how I would say.
Yeah,
But
and like outward things too. Like
Mhm.
I know, I mean, I can speak for a lot of girls and women. Not everybody's the same, so I'm not going to put everybody under this umbrella, but of course, we grow up watching Disney and the princesses and the fairy tales and even like rom-coms and stuff like that. So we're given this perception of the dream guy or whatever.
right.
And even for
Zac
guys like
Efron.
watching movies. Yeah, pretty much.
He was my first crush.
He has no icks.
But like we definitely do factor that into our opinions in our checklist, like you mentioned. So one of the biggest, I think, icks that get turned into red flags, I think, is height, which we have to be careful with that because everybody's attracted to something else, right? And attraction is important when it comes to dating. But if somebody looks at someone and only goes by their height about whether or not they even want to talk to them or give them a chance, then
That's a funny scenario to me because it's like icks are things you learn when you interact and hang out with someone, right? Like you're learning who they are. But like height, so it's like I guess you saw their profile and then you're like, oh, let's meet up in person.
Or like you already saw like,
and it's like, nah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the
His
ick
height
came
gave it
up.
ick.
or in
Yeah.
like
Right away.
like setups, like
Yeah.
with friends, like, hey, I really want you to talk to this person. Like I think they would be so good for you. Like they know you, your personality, they know them and their personality, and then you get sent their profile or whatever.
Oh,
and
let's
then
talk
you
about this real
just-
quick. Because I sent it to you. I think I sent it to you. I don't remember. But to you and Nick about ways that people are starting to date now, right? The whole little Twitter post of the
yeah.
different chart. Like back in the 50s, way back in the 50s, there was like 10 different primary ways that people started dating, and it was like a flow chart from the 50s until now of like what way that people began their dating relationship, like from the top, whatever. So in the 50s, it was all church and school. Those were the top two primary ways that people started dating.
Mhm.
As the decades went on, those two went all the way to the bottom.
That's crazy.
And the primary way that people began dating was online. And so we'll love to just hear y'all's thoughts on that. Like, what do you feel about the climate of our culture of the primary way people are starting to date?
It's interesting because it's almost like, well, it's where most people are, like where they are.
Do you find
So-
online dating icky?
I personally do, yeah.
I do a little too. But at this point, I'm like, I don't know.
Like
That's crazy.
I really don't care if anybody else is like,
Yeah, like if you found your
Doing
spouse
online
that you're
dating.
watching right now and you met them through online, like no
'cause
shame.
it's not
Like that's
me,
that's how
that's
it
not
happens.
my life. So like, you do you, I guess.
How was the first time that you ever talked to Ben? Did y'all talk in person?
Yes,
Or
because
through
I met him in person, and then
Okay.
literally the night after I met him, he just like followed me on Instagram and then started DMing me.
So online.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I mean, yeah.
But in my head, social media is like different than like online dating on an app.
Mhm.
Like when you say online dating, I'm thinking of like you're getting on an app in that
Sure.
capacity, not like social media.
Social media is an app though.
The concept.
Okay, but I'm thinking of like
Yeah.
a dating app.
The
Right.
concept is almost the same if you really think about it, because
Right.
you're going to somebody's profile, and then if you start talking, then
Very
obviously
true, but
you
I
start
guess like
conversation.
in my mind of social media, like most likely if we're DMing, it's because we have mutual friends.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like I know
you
of you.
intentionally downloaded this app to
Like
try
on
and
the
find
app
Right.
of the
somebody
dating
to
app,
date.
it's also like, oh, like I'm dating a stranger almost, or I'm talking to someone who I don't know.
Mhm.
Like in my perception, I've always
very curated.
I've always, like, felt like
um,
dating or whatever that happens, or meeting my future husband, like it's gonna happen through a friendship or something,
Mm.
or like that's how I would desire.
yeah, that's
to
bottom
happen.
on that chart now.
Well,
No,
there
I
you
was
go.
joking.
But that doesn't really happen when you're meeting someone online or through a dating app. Like you're not really friends first; you're immediately dating.
Sort of.
Yeah.
I don't
I see
know.
it differently. You kind of alluded to it already, but I mean, yeah, I do think there's a difference of like social media apps and an online dating app. I just see it as like a way, like the online dating is just more purposeful for what you're trying to accomplish.
That's very
Like
true.
you're trying to find someone
Right,
that you're going to
yeah.
end up dating. But it doesn't mean that just because you find someone, and by the way, we're talking about online apps where you just like are looking to meet someone, not hook up with someone. I just want to clarify
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But there's a purpose to that. There's a different purpose to something like Instagram or whatever,
That's very
where
true.
you're just sharing your life, more social content, things like that. But with that, just because you meet someone on a dating app doesn't mean you have to automatically start dating them.
True.
At that point, you set up a couple of hangouts, right? You
Yeah.
can still pursue a friendship in that arena just because you met on this
Take things
specific
slow.
platform.
Yeah. That's a very true aspect. So then, do y'all think, or how can you get past thick? Do you think you get past thick? And then for those who are like so set on like, oh, like you really laugh this weird way, like I don't think I can get past this. Like, what's advice of like, okay, this is how you get past thick?
Mm.
Man, I don't really know. Like this is how. I mean, obviously, I can only go by my experience, but every girl I've ever dated before summer, I always found something wrong.
Mhm.
I guess at that point now I think about it, like there was an ick, so to speak.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And obviously not that Summer's perfect. She is.
Shout out
I've
Summer.
just never I never got bored with her. I never found anything really wrong. And so, yeah, I don't know if icks are indicators that you should go ahead and stop and pursue something different. Like I don't want to say that because I think that's kind of like harsh.
Yeah.
But it could be. I don't know.
I
But
think it also very much depends
yeah.
on what the ick is.
yeah, it for sure. Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like,
Oh, here's a question I had. Because icks are very, like you know, this guy doesn't have a suit. Like that,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
very
yeah.
like to you. It might not really matter. To someone else did. If you have an ick that you realize doesn't have a suit, if you're listening, lady who called that, I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
That we're using an example, but like, do you think now that becomes an ick for every guy that she meets? Like, if this guy does not have a suit, like if it's an ick because of one person that you are
that's
looking
so
at,
good point.
does that now become a general ick for you that you are now looking at other people to see if they also displayed that ick?
I
Does
think
that make sense?
it does. I think it depends on two factors. One, I think yes, if her intention for dating is literally hookup culture, just to date someone, and not for marriage. But I think too,
I will not hook up with you if you don't have a suit.
but I
That's
think
crazy.
too, like I think if your intention really honestly deep down is a desire for marriage in a biblical way, like you wouldn't let that aspect of them having a suit get in the way of you actually marrying someone.
Mm.
Because in my opinion, I don't really know how that's biblical.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's very based on the person. But in her context of dating, I'm assuming this is in a cultural way. I think yes, probably going forward, she's probably gonna figure out if every person has
Or
a
for
suit
you guys,
not.
like as y'all had icks that you thought of in your past, like, do you now translate that to any relationship? Like, you in relationship number one, whatever amount of years ago, okay, I didn't realize I had this ick, but now I do see that in myself. Now if I see that in anybody else, like, I may not even try to pursue that.
I think for me personally, like, thinking back, I think I would, if I did find like an ick with whoever I was like pursuing or trying to date, I think I would try to work through it if it was something that was outward and not based on their character and their personality.
That's good.
So like I would try to work through it and try to not necessarily ignore it, but really try to not focus on that, because I knew it didn't matter in the end. But there were also other times that and I guess it would morph into a red flag if I continued to date them, but there were icks that were about their character and were about their personality that would just kind of like, throw me the wrong way.
Like, oh, he doesn't let me check their phone. That's super ick.
Yeah, they don't never text back.
Crazy.
But if it was more about their character, then I knew like that speaks to something else. And then sometimes we can pick up on those icks, and if we are using discernment, if we're praying and having God at the center of whatever it is that we're doing, then I think God can also open our eyes through them. Mm-hmm. So although we don't want to glamorize and I don't know.
Idolize?
Although we don't want to idolize icks and turn them into red flags if they don't need to be, I do think that we use discernment. And so if there's an ick when it comes to their character and their personality, then we should keep an eye on it. If it's something that could be harmful for your relationship in the end. But if it's not, and if it's genuinely just a preference that could be overlooked and you could still continue to have a godly, successful relationship, then there's no need to put so much emphasis on somebody's flaw.
For sure.
That's good. I forgot we did ask on Instagram.
We did.
So I'm going to read some of these because they're funny. I'm still kind of like, I blend icks and red flags a lot in my mind because some of these sound like red flags. Disrespect of boundaries, not seeking God in the relationship.
Yeah,
when they share Bible verses but don't have a relationship with God. When they wear outdated clothes.
I put that one.
Oh.
Okay, so
what do you mean by outdated?
Okay, so I put that one because
thrifting.
Quick story.
Oh.
When Ben started to pursue me and I was getting to know him.
Oh yeah, his
I felt like
bad.
His drip was a little not my taste. I just didn't think it was great drip.
So that's what you meant by you can get past the outward thing.
Ick.
As long as their inward character
I had
is good.
no desire to fix him. I had no desire to change him. I'd let my friends be my friends, but we're married now, and I think he's the most handsome person in the planet. So, those are things that crying. I knew they don't matter. It's just like, and now he has a glow up.
Why are you wearing that?
There's a marriage glow up. So.
Telling half the truth, not showing the same effort, lack of communication. Arguments instead of discussion, rejection instead of redirection, bars, instead of listening, picking fights, when he doesn't give you a snack even though you said you weren't hungry. Crazy.
So, and that's interesting because maybe all those sound like red flags because generally our society and our culture has morphed the two. When really they're not supposed to be. And so we end up verbalizing to our friends in our group chat or whatever it is, like, oh yeah, he gave me the ick when he did this or whatever. So I guess like it's gonna but it's really a small thing.
Is it ever okay in the context of dating to point out the ick to the other person?
I think yes. Okay. And I'm going to say why. Because I remember when I read the Outdating book by Jonathan Bakuda, he said in there, you want to leave, like, if you find something out, don't say the reason you're breaking up with this person is because it's me, not you. Like, tell them why. That way, when they go out in the dating world and they're trying to find their future husband or wife, they are better set up to do that because you told them the reason why you're breaking up with them. So I think if the ick is something like, it's an outward thing that, like, for instance, you wear outdated clothes.
Bro, brush your teeth.
Or brush your teeth. Like, it may help to tell them that, but I don't know if that's beneficial in the aspect of them continue dating, but I think if it's something like, oh, you gave me the ick because you, I don't know, you talk when where you're not really, you have whatever. I think it's beneficial to tell that person, because hopefully they can reassess, like, man, do I really talk to like that many girls a lot? Hopefully benefiting you to find your future wife. Now that it didn't work out for us.
I think that's so good, because then the person on the other side can hopefully receive that.
Yes.
Because you see the ick in somebody else, but you don't see the ick in you, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense. The whole, like, don't judge anybody. Take the piece of wood out of your own eye before you see a splinter in someone else's eye. Because what you just said was me, right? I always had really close friends that were girls, constantly talking to them, not always trying to like get with them or anything like that. So then when I started dating Summer, I found out it took her a lot of courage to say, hey, like, you need to stop talking to those girls. And I was like, what? Like, what? These are my friends. But I didn't see that. But then as we were engaged and, about to get married, I started to realize, oh, I can't have really close friends that are girls.
Yeah.
And so I was glad that she pointed that out in me, even though it probably took her, like, she probably contemplated that for like months. Yeah. And I had no idea. So I was grateful for her courage and bravery to step out and say that.
Yeah.
So if you are told an ick, receive it well.
Yeah.
It might help that current relationship, or it might help your future one.
For sure.
But I would say it's case by case. Like,
for sure.
In that case, because even in what you described, that to me is a red flag. That's not an ick.
Yeah, but but this is when things get more.
So, right.
Yeah.
But I would caution everybody to be very careful about sharing icks, because it could hurt more than harm. Like, if it's the outward stuff like we talked about. Like, if it's like, let me try to think of an example. Like, if you want to tell the person that you're talking to or whatever that the ick is like, well, you laugh funny, or your teeth are kind of weird, or like, I don't like the way you smell. It could really harm them.
Smells.
And then maybe they end up not wanting to go out, and a fear builds up, and that's not totally on them, but it's you end up hurting more than harming. So I would just say use discernment. Like, if it's
Change your laundry detergent.
If it's something that is like, that's definitely my preference. Like, somebody else probably could like that.
That's
then you build
earlier.
them up, and you like, you still be honest.
Yes.
Honesty is very important.
Yeah, like, you can frame it in a way of like, hey, this is why, I don't want to pursue this anymore. Versus like, this is what's wrong with you.
Yes.
I just think,
and I think girls can be mean, and guys also can be mean without even meaning to.
Yeah.
So
I think honesty is just the best way when you're going in dating or you're breaking it up, because it's all about helping, especially in the context of Christian dating. Either I'm helping you in our relationship to hopefully be married, or I'm helping you find your next spouse. And if I lie and say, oh, like, I'm not going to say why, but like, I don't want to talk to you anymore, that's not really helping either or. In the sense of either moving on or
not an argument.
That was good.
Yeah, that was a good.
Yeah, I think we can end there. That was this conversation was not ick.
Nope.
That's weird.
And remember that God's word says that man looks on the outside, but God looks at the heart.
1 Samuel 16, I believe.
We need to look at the heart.
Or 1 Peter 3, bro.
Yeah. Awesome time, guys. Episode 50.
Fire.
Thank you all so much for your wisdom on that. Praying that it helps you young adults. Thank you all for checking in.
We'll be back when we turn 50 to give our wisdom.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
Like even if the paper room ends, we should come back when we turn 50.
We're all turning 50 at very different times.
I know, but each time.
One of us is closer. I won't say who.
Yeah.
Anyway, love you guys so much. Hopefully this episode helped you, and if it did, share it with your friends. And we'll see y'all later. Peace.
Woo!